The most confusing of Made by Google series launches is effectively concluded in 2020 with the public-facing release of the Pixel 4a 5G. From the outset, a particularly tricky handset to review, but we're going to give it a go to give you the full lowdown. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe, and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. There are 3 distinct devices to choose from this year, with the Pixel 4a 5G slap bang in the middle of those. From afar, it feels like the Pixel 4a 5G could easily become the forgotten Made by Google device for 2020. I'm here to tell you that this might be the wrong assumption to make. Get the Pixel 4a 5G in your hand, and almost like every Pixel device thus far or released thus far, it's more than omissions and inclusions. This is a great way to save a little cash and get a ton of features usually reserved for flagship smartphones, with a little bit of network future-proofing thrown in there too. Okay, so this is a distinct hybrid of the Pixel 4a and Pixel 5 designs. The 4a 5G is an excellent mixture of both of those. While the Pixel 4a feels light and slightly hollow, the Pixel 4a 5G is undoubtedly more sturdy and solid. Despite being made of plastic and with a mainly plastic shell, you could be forgiven for thinking that it was made from more premium materials. I said in my review of the Pixel 5 that the rear panel feels really unique, I'd say sometimes tacky, and because of that the Pixel 4a 5G actually feels much better in the hand, sans a case. Like all Pixels, the 4a 5G has great hand feel without really feeling cumbersome. Phones this size are usually heavy, and the Pixel 4a 5G doesn't really feel like a slab in the very same way. The internals are confusing, but the external design is nice and consistent with the Pixel 4a. It's only the release cycle that is weird in that sense. If the Pixel 4, 4a 5G and Pixel 5 all dropped at the same time, I think it would be much less tricky to decide between the 3 models. One of the few downsides of the hardware package of the Pixel 4a 5G is the lack of colour options. Yes, you can have any colour you want, so long as it's just black. Google hasn't really added that typical Google flair this time around with the Pixel 4a or 4a 5G through the plain power button, and it feels like a big opportunity missed here. That said, it's still a unique or kind of googly design in that sense. In hardware terms, the Pixel 4a 5G feels really sensible. The design, the internals, and the solo 128GB storage option. Play it safe, make sure that all complaints are kept to a minimum. We've been critical obviously of certain Pixel series in the past, such as the battery longevity for instance, but really the Ace series has been the best of the bunch so far because you'd expect some acceptable trade-offs going in ahead of time. The only concern I have over the display on the Pixel 4a 5G is the usage of Gorilla Glass 3 rather than a newer, harder alternative. Yes, there are some slightly thicker bezels around all sides than the Pixel 5. Does this affect the experience too much? Well, I'd have to say no. And because there is no XL variant this year, the Pixel 4a 5G fills in that gap quite nicely. Not having a Pixel 5 XL is a disappointment, but you're not really losing a great deal if you do choose to go with the 4a 5G's larger display. At 6.2 inches, the full HD Plus OLED panel is really solid, and switching from 90 to 60Hz is not too hard to deal with, especially given how accurate the colours are on this panel. It would be nice for a little bump in the maximum brightness, but there are no real problems with the maximum brightness day to day on the Pixel 4a 5G display. Of course, the Pixel 4a 5G comes with Android 11 out of the box, which is the exact same flavour you'll find on the more expensive Pixel 5. Having modest internals means that Google's reasonable tweak-free Android is built perfectly and suited perfectly for the hardware on offer here. Everything you have come to know and love is here, with some notable new inclusions like Hold For Me, the enhanced extreme battery saver mode, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, as everything added as part of the Android 11 update is present and correct, with no missing additions. I'm unable to really see a discernible difference between the Pixel 4a 5G and the Pixel 5 in daily performance, and can only really imagine that 6GB of RAM means fewer applications are held in stasis, but running out multiple applications proved to be no problem. As I mentioned, it's hard to see any difference that the extra 2GB of RAM makes on the Pixel 5. Yes, I do think the 90Hz panel does feel a little more responsive, however I put that down to the animation improvements, as the hardware is practically identical, including the same UFS 2.1 storage here. Android 11 of course runs very well. Really, to delve in deeper or further, then I think you're probably better off checking out our full Pixel 5 review here to see the performance levels that you'll expect from the Pixel 4a 5G. I'm glad that Google has taken on board the battery criticism of devices in recent years, as this is arguably where the biggest and most important gains have been made here in 2020. Put it this way, the battery on the Pixel 4a 5G is very good. I've killed it a couple of times on busier days when I'm constantly scrolling social media or watching YouTube and Netflix videos. That said, on average I'll see around 6 or so hours of screen on time with the brightness set at around 60%. Most of the time I'm ending the day with around 20 to 30% battery remaining. I'd consider myself to be a moderate to heavy smartphone user, so I think with light usage and toggling the enhanced battery saver modes on, then you'll probably be able to push that to 2 days pretty easily. Of course, the camera setup on the Pixel 4a 5G is the very same found and utilised by the Pixel 5, so it doesn't really make too much sense to go in depth in this review when we have already delved deeper already. If you want to see just what the Pixel 4a 5G is capable of, then be sure to read or watch our full Pixel 5 review, which you will find linked in the video description below or in a card in the upper right of your screen. So just to summarise, the Pixel 4a 5G does come with a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle lens and a main wide lens at the rear, with an 8 megapixel selfie camera at the front. It's the very same Sony IMX363 and Sony IMX355 camera sensors that Google has relied on for a number of years now. It's only the processing of the images that you'll see has really changed on the Pixel 4a 5G and the Pixel 5 from previous years. While you get this same signature contrasty and sharp images from the Pixel 4a 5G, it's in video where the most gains have been made this year. If you care about recording video on your smartphone, then the jump is pretty notable, and the added handheld recording modes are very useful if you want to experiment with your smartphone videography too. Just a quick one on audio before we wrap up, as I think this needed a little section of its own, as the Pixel 4a 5G has the best audio experience of the late 2020 Pixel lineup. It's still far too easy to cover that bottom firing speaker, but this isn't too much of an issue when the earpiece blasts out nice clear audio. Plus on top of that, you've got the ability to plug in a stereo system with the 3.5mm headphone port. Not needing a dongle is a nice addition. For some though, I'm sure that sacrificing some of the other Pixel 5 features is also worth it for superior audio out of the box. So to summarise, the Pixel 4a 5G has been a hard device to review simply as it straddles the price gap between the Pixel 4a and the Pixel 5. It's a smartphone which offers much of what makes a Pixel 5 premium, but with the bones of what makes a Pixel 4a affordable. Without spending time with it, it's hard to see who this smartphone is for, unless people are actively hunting for a cheaper 5G enabled Android device. But it also is yet another great Pixel device that makes the right compromises for the sake of affordability. The Pixel 4a 5G is actually probably a better buy for most people, and the only thing I've actively missed from the Pixel 5 is the ability to charge wirelessly. My real need to have access to a 90Hz refresh rate has waned over time, and as I find this to be one of those nice to have inclusions, it's not too much of a miss on the Pixel 4a 5G. In essence, this device may have been a hard device in many ways to review, but it proves to be a very easy Pixel to recommend. With that suggested $500 RRP, it has one of the best cameras on the market, a lovely larger display, great audio, and all of the rest of the Pixel magic without the associated price tag. Really, there isn't too much to complain about here. If you want a 2020 Google phone, this might actually be the best of the bunch. Plus, the only really big option this year means that the decision is effectively being made for you. So I want to hear from you. What do you think of the Pixel 4a 5G? Let me know down in the comments section below. But as always, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.